There we go. I am still getting a handle on Zoom. It feels like by now we should have got this all figured out, but as Erica knows, I work closely with Erica and it's always a mystery to me, but here we are. So Tim, you can see the slide?
You're very good. Got it, Christine.
Yes.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting Ross and I to speak at Talk Shop today. Real estate investing is a perfect topic for the beginning of a new year. And it is truly an honor for me to introduce my business and investing coach and mentor, Ross Lightle. This actually is really perfect timing because in April, Ross and I are co-facilitating a course, Intro to Real Estate Investing, that draws on Ross's extensive experience in both the Canadian and US markets. For me, it's very significant because it is a course which changed my life when I took it with Ross a number of years ago. At that time, I was self-employed. I wanted to grow my business, but I was pretty stuck. So how did I get from there to this place where I have the privilege of learning from and teaching alongside of the best of the best? The answer is pretty simple. One step at a time. I just kept taking the next step. Groups like this one, where I could network and learn, became very important to me. I began to hear names like Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Robert Kiyosaki, and I started reading their books, including Rich Dad, Poor Dad. One day, on his way to school, my son happened to hear a radio ad announcing a Rich Dad, Poor Dad seminar in our town, and that's how I met Ross. Just by taking the next step, by taking action as the opportunities came to us. It was actually very early on in my training with Ross that he put up a slide that I've never forgotten. Sorry, I need to. Can you give me a thumbs up if that works, Tim? Did I get the slide? This is it. It was a picture of a small castle in France. And when Ross put up this picture, he said, every building in the world was built for someone. Why not you? That made me stop and think, why not me? And it changed everything. It has taken lots of determination, lots of mistakes, the courage to keep going anyways, and it takes trust. In fact, a really important question for me was, who can I trust when it comes to getting the right education? How do I find the right teachers? Well, one answer is by doing what you all do, by hanging out with the right people, the right teachers, and the people they teach. But here's a really important key to all of this that I learned. I realized that every time I found excellent teachers, I now had something very special to bring to my network, something that could make a real difference in their lives also. And here I am today, a business owner and investor doing what I love to do, which is creating learning environments where people are inspired and equipped to build their own magnificent futures. One of the projects that Ross and I and other collaborating partners have brought to fruition is YPF. You can see the YPF logo in the middle of this slide. It stands for Your Platinum Future, Inc. YPF is an education platform that brings together world-class educators who are truly committed to helping us apply what we learn. There is no cost to becoming a YPF member, just a lot of great opportunities coming your way. And so an excellent action step as we move into 2022 will be to click on the link that I'll put in the chat to join us as a member of Your Platinum Future, I'll just make one quick note. The first thing that you'll receive will be an email to confirm your email address, and they sometimes land in junk or spam. So go looking for it if you sign up as a member, but you don't see the email right away. And I'll tell you this, it is things like your platinum future that are exactly what happens when our ideas and our hopes and our dreams meet the experience and commitment of a teacher like Ross. And this is what happens when your experience and your passion and your commitment to helping others meets their ideas and hopes and dreams for the future, because then it's your time. It's your turn to take it forward. Today, Ross is teaching on the topic of real estate investing, the very first topic that I learned from him. Over the years, he has trained me in multiple investment strategies, sales, negotiation, contracting, risk management, every bit of it practical, down to earth, and backed by 45 years of real experience, as well as by the promise that Ross makes to every person he ever trains or coaches. It is the commitment made by all of our YPF providers. If you ever need help applying what you have learned, you will have Ross's contact info and mine, and you are welcome to use it. The most important thing that I've learned from Ross is the motto that he lives every single day. Be the servant you were born to be. And with that, Ross, I hand it over to you.
Well, Christine, thank you. That's probably a better introduction than I actually deserve, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And, you know, Christine, you've come so far in the 10 years or more that I've known you. And, you know, I love what you said, a little castle in France. Well, that was one of the castles that we went to look at to see if it would be something that we'd be interested in purchasing. That little castle is 50,000 square feet, and behind it, which you didn't see, you just saw a little corner of it, is another 20,000 square feet of servants' quarters. So, you know, when you say a little castle, I like the way you think. You're thinking big now, girl. That's awesome. And yeah, you know, I'm starting to get feel like when you're introducing me, I'm starting to feel old. I mean, 45 years of doing this. This is a crazy business. It'll be 45 years this May. And over that time, you know, I've realized that I've built a massive arsenal of tools for my clients, and I've categorized them and really put together something that my clients can use. But even though I coach with, you know, really experienced investors and experienced business people and stuff, I think my passion really is working with people who are getting started. I love to help people get started in real estate and help them get started right, build, you know, millions of dollars, and then teach them how to keep it. So no use building an empire if you can, you know, the biggest threat we ever have is a lawsuit, and we got to be careful of that. So anyway, with that, I've got a few minutes here just to, you know, Tim and Christine asked me to share a few things in the real estate business. 15 minutes is really hard to compress 45 years into 15 minutes. So maybe just give you a couple of highlight things. And of course, I'm always available afterwards, where you can always get in touch with me, and you have my contact information. So with that, you know, I believe when you're investing in things, I call it my top four. There's four things I believe you must invest in. Besides real estate just happens to be one of them. But I would say number one thing you have to invest in, and I think everybody in this room that I've had the pleasure of just listening to you this morning would agree with, the number one investment, of course, is you. And you always have to invest in you, not just once in a while, daily. And you got to make time daily to invest in yourself. Number two, I think, you know, I believe you should be investing and reinvesting back in your trade, your profession, you know, your skill set, whatever it is that you do, you need to be continually investing that. I believe 5 to 10% of everything you make should go back into maintaining and growing and being better than, you know, you were the day before. And if you're just maintaining, you're going backwards. There's no such thing as just maintaining your business. You have to always be continually improving and doing better. And for me personally, if I'm not getting better, I don't have anything to give my clients. So I need to continually strive to be better than I was the day before. And I think that's a good measure of success. The third thing that I would suggest that you need to invest in is something that puts a lot of stress on people. And that's, you need to invest in getting out of bad and ugly debt. And what do I mean by bad and ugly debt? I believe in debt, but I don't believe in bad and ugly debt. And bad debt is, I define as debt that you have to pay, or debt that the thing, whatever you invest in, can't pay for. In other words, you're overfinanced. And then ugly debt is bad debt that's insured. And you got your PMIs, your private mortgage insurance and everything else. Well, if your debt ever goes bad, or foreclosure, power sale, anything like that. And by the way, I've coached in the United States and in Canada, so I've coached. I understand the real estate on both sides of the border. But if you ever have to use that insurance, the lender gets paid, and it's you that gets sued by that insurance company. So we really have to watch that bad and ugly debt and make sure you don't get into bad and ugly debt. And the fourth thing you should invest in, I think, in my opinion, is real estate. I think you need to invest in things that aren't going away. I believe you have to invest in things that have an intrinsic value, as close to intrinsic as you can get. The only thing that truly is intrinsic value is, of course, you. They don't make any more you, and they're not making very much more land either. So land, and then I would say, gold, silver, precious stones, metals, that sort of thing is a good investment. And I think maybe 85% in real estate and maybe 10, 15% in gold, silver, precious metals. That's kind of my ratio. I believe in real estate, of course. So what's the big difference between real estate today and real estate when I got started? I hear a lot of people say to me, well, Ross, if I got started when you got started, oh, it'd be easy, no problem. Well, you might think that, but when I got started, I was making $2.85 an hour, but there is a big difference. And it's the difference is the thing that gets the people in a lot of trouble, I find, when they are getting started in today's world. You see, when I got started in real estate, and by the way, the opportunity is still here. It's just changed. When I got started, if you can see my hands, the real estate was 1 to 2 times the average wage. So you could buy, and let's just use single family home because it seems like, that's something that everybody understands, even though, we invest in apartment buildings and commercial buildings, that sort of thing. But let's just use a single family home. It's something that everybody understands. When I got started, the single family home was 1 to 2 times the average wage. In other words, if you made $25,000 a year, you could buy a house for $50,000, that sort of thing. Well, here's what happened. And it's happened over the last, 40 years. The price of real estate went up, wages went up, price went up, wages went up, price went up, wages went up, price went up, wages went up. In other words, the gap between the price and the wages widened. And today, the average home is, 12, 14, 15 times the average wage. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you have to change the way you invest. Why? Because here's what happens. What does income follow? It doesn't follow the price of the home. Income follows the wages. In other words, as wages go up, rents go up. But as price goes up, rents go up. Price goes up, rents go up. Price goes up, rents go up. Prices don't follow, or rents don't follow pricing. So it'd be like if you invested in a restaurant 40 years ago and you never raised the price on your menu, I'm going to say that you'd be out of business today. And what has happened is that getting back to my good, bad, and ugly debt that we talked about before, is that the price of real estate has gone up, but the income used to support it hasn't gone up. And so when it comes to investing today, a lot of people are working with ideas and things that worked, practical things that worked 25, 30 years ago, and they won't work today. In other words, the financing of this real estate won't work. If on a single family home, generally speaking, now a lot of people are on this listening to this are going to say, no, that's not true, Ross. Well, I've actually analyzed, hundreds and hundreds of deals, thousands of deals. And what I have found out is that what I'm about to tell you is true. If you have more than a 50% mortgage or 50% financing at today's rates on your single family home, it's probably not cash flowing over time. You see, it might cash flow today, but then later you'll have a roof that you'll put on or whatever. I'm talking about cash flowing over time. It probably will not cash flow if you've got more than a 50% mortgage. You see, what happened is that the situation has changed, but realtors and mortgage brokers and friends and family haven't actually changed with the time. I'm sure the realtors and the mortgage brokers that are on this program, the people that are actually investing and making their living at it, are pretty much in agreement with me. I know from analyzing thousands of deals, most people that I work with that are coming to me and they are in trouble already because they didn't get started correctly are somewhere between $300 and $600 a month negative cash flow in your building. Now, how many buildings do you want to own with a negative cash flow? The answer should be, zero. You don't want to have anything with a negative cash flow. So you have to invest correctly using the situations that we have in today's market. All right, now to further continue that, in every real estate deal, there's four things. There's four parts to every real estate deal. First of all, there's the purchase price. Now, who controls the purchase price? Well, you could say, well, you do to some extent, I guess. But really, the market controls the purchase price. You're not, very seldom, there is circumstances where you could buy it at a really good deal on, 30, 40% off. But that's not normal. The market determines the purchase price. Even if it's a foreclosure or anything else, the market determines the purchase price. Well, the second part would be the income, the rents on an investment property. Well, what determines the rents? And I guess you could say, well, I have some control over that, but really the market controls the rents as well. So the income is controlled by the market. The purchase price is controlled by the market. Well, what else is there in a real estate? The third thing would be all your expenses. Well, what controls the expenses? The market. You can't go to the hydro company and say, well, I only want to pay you half. They're going to look at you and go, are you nuts? And you say, yeah, that's why I'm an investor. I'm nuts. It still won't help you. They still won't allow you to pay half. So let's see. So far, we're not doing too good. The purchase price, we don't control that. The market controls it. The income, we don't control that. The rents are controlled by the market. The expenses, we don't control that. Well, what's the fourth thing to every real estate deal? Well, the fourth thing, of course, is the financing. Right. And here's what most people do. Most people go to their financier, their mortgage brokers, their banker, or whatever, and say, please, please, please give me as much money as I possibly can on the deal. And they're giving up control of the only thing they actually control in the deal. They should be going to their financier, their mortgage broker, their banker, whoever, and saying, hey, here's what my property can afford. That's all the financing I want. That's right. That's a big difference. If you don't take control of your financing, in my opinion, you've just gone from investing to gambling, because a gambler has no control. You've given up the control of the only thing you have in a real estate deal, the financing, and you've let real estate agent or mortgage broker or friends and family, all with good intentions. Trust me, they really good intentions. They just haven't learned how to analyze the deal yet. And I just want to wrap things up today with, maybe the 3 things that you must do in any real estate deal. Let's just say business, period. Not just a real estate deal, but in business, period. There's 3 things that you must do. And if you don't do these 3 things, you're probably going to be out of business at some point. Number 1, you've got to be the person to write the check. If you don't look after your money, if you let somebody else write the check for you, trust me, you will be out of business. Number 2, you got to be the one to analyze the deal. When I'm coaching with people and teaching people how to get started in real estate, Christine, I spend a lot of time teaching people how to analyze the deal properly. And I have the tools and the arsenal to teach them how to do that, and all the spreadsheets and everything to continue to analyze the deal, whether it's buy, rent, and hold, buy, fix, sell, rent to own, wholesale deals, whatever it is, I'll teach you how to do it and analyze the deal. If you're not analyzing the deal and you're letting somebody else analyze the deal for you, like somebody who has an ulterior motive in it, you're going to be out of business. And number 3, and I know what a blessing for me to be introduced to a group of people like you. If you do not network every day, you're going to be out of business. Your network is your net worth. And with that, Christine, I'd like to turn it back to you to wrap it up for a few minutes. And I'd like to thank Tim and everybody else here for such an opportunity to get to know all of you and expand our network, because that's what it's all about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll talk to you all soon. On all my contact information, I'm sure Christine is going to put that up for me.
Thank you so much, Ross. And yes, when you talk about the importance of analyzing the deal, another huge lesson that you taught me was exactly that. And I had the privilege, years ago now, but sitting in on coaching sessions where you were going through that. And the thing that always struck me and that I've always held on to and always practiced myself is it's just math. The numbers don't lie. And you always used my numbers or the client in front of you. It was never a made up story. It was never a theoretical situation. So I just wanted to highlight that because I remember that very clearly. And to this day, it's an important part of what I do in the profit assurance business, which I'll talk about another time. But one more quick story that I was reminded about. Back when I was first taking courses with you, Ross, I was teaching kids, as you know. In fact, I was running a small private school in my home, and I had been teaching the kids about business and cash flow, about assets and liabilities, about what constituted a real investment versus an expenditure. And I was using the Rich Dad, Poor Dad resources designed for kids, including the cash flow game. So they were learning the difference between being in the rat race versus having financial freedom. One of my students was a precocious 8-year-old called Isaac. One morning he was dropped off early as we were finishing up our breakfast conversation, which happened to have centered around our plans with our business and our plans for getting out of the rat race. When he heard that, Isaac, who was sitting on our couch, his head snapped up, he looked straight at us and he loudly exclaimed, "You're in the rat race?" And he knew what we were talking about. It was very humbling. And it was one of those defining moments when I knew that I had to live out what I was teaching. And I still am, to this day, living it out. And I am always glad for Isaac's encouragement and challenge to do so. 10 years ago now, Isaac's 18, graduating from high school this year. So one more action step for you. I am going to put the link to the page on the YPF website with information about the Intro to Real Estate Investing course. The information that Ross brings to the table is so needed in today's world. And so please take the link and share it with anyone who is in real estate investing or who is thinking about it. It will make a huge difference for anyone navigating business and investing today and in the future. I recognized years ago that sharing information like this with my network would change a lot of lives, starting with my own, and it truly has. So, Tim, thank you again. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity to be with you today. And I look forward to joining you again soon.
Awesome.
Good job. Good job. That's great. Tim, you're still the MC at this point.
Yeah. So do we have any questions?
Any questions in the audience? I would just, I'm Joe Garner in the mortgage business, and I would just like to second what Ross said. Because, and we talk about this on the radio all the time, we say, look, don't come in and just say, what's the maximum I qualify for? Because what really needs to happen is you need to know personally what is comfortable for you if you're buying a personal residence. But I agree with Ross in what he said about taking control of the real estate investment. It's a business. If you're losing money on that house, that rental house, you're not going to make a success of yourself by doing this on volume. I mean, you've got to make money. It's a business. You're buying a business. So good, Ross. That was excellent stuff. And I can't wait to post this on our site. You guys are awesome today.
Awesome.